Thank you for the organizers for having me up here. Thank you all for being here for this session. Just a quick note in advance. I'm from specialty pharma. I have nothing to sell you. Ideally, I don't even want you having to have the stuff we sell. So be healthy, stay healthy, everything's good. The second thing is that I couldn't have hoped for a better segue into my session because when I was chatting with the organizers originally, the plan was to talk about AI in healthcare and what we're doing for patients. But I know there's going to be so much chat about AI and these kind of things that I thought I'll take it down a few thousand feet and talk more about change management and adoption. So that is what this session is going to be about. I'm calling it the execution gap. It's different than the gap that we saw in the morning when Sam from Bell was speaking. This is a little bit different. But it's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be an interesting chat overall. So before we get started, I just need you, I know no one likes to raise their hands, but just do me this. You can do a little thing like this. How many of you have been to a data conference before? This one or another one. If you've ever been to one before, just give me a little thing. Keep it up. So great. So you come to a data conference and you see something cool, right? A new foundational model, a new use case, whatever it might be. And you think to yourself, I'm going to go and do this on Monday. Keep your hands up if you thought you're going to do it on Monday. Fantastic. Keep your hand up if you did it on the Monday. Okay, great. So many hands went down. Some hands are still up. For those of you with hands still up, blink twice and I'll know your manager's at your table. So I know that's the truth, right? No, your hand's still up, so Keener, good job. For the rest of us who dropped our hands, that's the execution gap. The reasons could be numerous, but why did you not do the thing? We all have our reasons for it. Let me just go through this here. So what we did is we found the execution gap in just 30 seconds, but I have another 20 minutes to talk. So a bit about myself first. My name is Manish. I have been in the pharma industry for about 20 years, 17 at EMD Serono. I used to be head of IT, and now I do digital excellence. I do omni-channel strategy, AI adoption, and data and analytics. As a side note, you can see that I was ex-Team Canada boxer, traveled the world doing that. That was great, and now I'm a boxing coach. The reason that's in here isn't to show off. It's because when my kids were looking at my slides, they're like, everything you do is nerdy. And I'm like, yeah, being nerdy paid for your Xbox. And they're like, go nerds. So then that's the best thing about it. I am a nerd. I just like punching people in the face. So that's the only difference, okay? That's the only difference right there. So in my job, like many of you, after so many years in the industry, you do a lot of things. I have done cloud-based call centers, far too many of them. Spent a lot of time in virtual reality. I put my life savings into Meta Horizon. I hope it works out. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, the metaverse. So I also done AI tools, analytics platforms, innovation hubs, a lot of stuff. I also manage innovation at the company. But there's something they all have in common. Almost nobody used them. It is a sad truth. It's a sad reality. It's like getting punched in the face. I would know. So we know, we heard it many times, it's not a tech problem. The tech is not usually the problem. It's a distance problem. We've talked about the gap before, but this gap's a little bit different. It's about the thing you built and then the behavior you expected. And in between that is this big black hole, which is the gap. What fills the gap? The same thing that you guys put your hands down for a minute ago when I told you, did you do the thing on the Monday? It could be a number of things. In healthcare and banking, it's compliance anxiety. Are we allowed to do that thing? Is this okay to do? Another one is your calendars are full. I see how many people here are checking their phones, on their laptop. It's okay, we all have a job. We can't be here for 2 days and not check in. That's a big part of it too. Existing habits is another one. And one that I'll get into in a second that might be specific to healthcare is I already know my customer. A quick note is when I go through these slides, I'm coming from healthcare, but you can extrapolate this to your own industry because I think a lot of these things are coming into your own world just in a different way. So there's no shortage of data and innovation. There is a shortage of action. Let's take a sales rep typical Tuesday. Now, when I was prepping this slide, I realized that it's a very simplified view to keep things easy. Do not break my kneecaps in the parking lot because you're saying that's not how easy my day is. I understand that, okay? But what do? Wake up in the morning, pluck their eyebrows, put on their makeup, and off they go to see the first doctor. But which doctor do they see? They see the doctor that they usually see the third week of the month, okay? They see the doctor, they talk about the product monograph, they talk about the product, ask about free of charge, update the CRM, hopefully, go for lunch. Around the corner is the other doctor they normally see the third week of the month. They see that doctor, update the CRM, and they go home. You know what's missing right here? The tons of data available to them to tell them which doctor they should have seen instead. We have next best actions, which tell them, this other doctor over here, he hasn't prescribed in the last 3 weeks. Go see him, see what's going on. This other doctor over here, the sales are down. You should really go see them. But there's something that stops these salespeople from doing it. There's a barrier. The barrier is this. We don't look for what we think we already have. They know their customer. I've known my customer. Yeah, we're not telling you that you don't know your customer. We're telling you that this time of day, this day, is not the best time to see your customer. We're not trying to destroy your relationship. We're just telling you there might be a better way to do it. Data-driven decisions. We've heard that 1,000 times. It is hard to get across sometimes. I'll give you another example. A couple years ago, I was asked a question from one of the teams. They said, why is this product not selling? And I looked at them going like, why would I know, right? I see sales data, but the why is hard to answer. So we built these beautiful reports, these gorgeous distribution dashboards. Guys, we had line charts, bar charts, and stacked bar charts, which means business, right? Stacked bar charts, it means business. And even then, when I looked at the usage a few months later in Tableau, you can see how often people went into it, when's the last time. In 3 months, they had gone into it 3 times. And I was like, people see the Mona Lisa, this is better. What the heck is going on, right? This is the nicest dashboard you guys will have ever seen. And it's because it didn't fit their usage pattern, right? Their usage pattern is this. Only when someone asks a question, that's when they go into this data, this report, they get the answer and they close it until they need it the next time. So us spending money and time to build this report, it was useful. We thought it'd be great. We thought, build it and they shall come. It wasn't the case at all. Okay? What they really needed was a corner man to give them a sip of water or a little advice, and we built in the entire gym. It was a terrible idea, and we've learned from that. So, few examples. What do we do about it? The solution, as we know, is not better technology. Everybody here can deliver the technology. The solution is better proximity. Getting close to your people, getting close to the problem. So, before we get into those details, there's one hard truth you have to ask yourself first, which is, why are you building the thing you're building in the first place, right? We all know this. AI has made it super easy to go to Claude and ask for something cool, and it spits it out in like 2 hours. Go to Codex and do the same thing, and now you have all these competing systems. You're bringing them to the table. You've never checked once, is this something someone needed? And so the question you have to start asking yourself is, why did you build it? Because you thought it was cool? Did you check with users? Did you validate it first? Did you launch it and then promote it? I know some of us are probably in positions where this is what we do. Or did you do it the right way? Did you build it because they actually needed it? You involved the right users before it ever gets started. You validated the problem. You built the buy-in part of it during the design, and you started adoption at day 1. The one piece I'll add to this that's not here is, for those of you who are in positions where you run projects, there's something called kind of setting the table. What I call that, or what I refer to it as, before I run any major project, I meet with every stakeholder before the first meeting even starts, and I get to know them. And I understand, like, where's their mentality with it? Are they going to be a naysayer? Do they want to be a big part of the project, or just a quiet background person? Because the best thing ever is when you have your kickoff meeting for a project, and you've already spoke to everybody, so nothing's going to jump out at you. And when you say, are we good? And every single person goes, yeah, we're good, because they know what's coming. It's fantastic. So for anybody that's doing this kind of work, when you're doing any kind of project, set the table first. The second thing is meeting them in the backyard. This is about finding out the real way people work instead of making an assumption. In the past, what would we do? We would create a report, we would do a training, and then we would email them a link to the report. A couple months later, they go find the link, they click on it, hopefully you have single sign-on, otherwise they have to go find their password, good luck, right? They got to do the date filtering, they got to do the other filtering they need to do, extract the data. Hopefully they know what the heck this data is telling them, but usually they don't. They give up and they call us, they call the team. But that's not the right way of doing it. You have to understand that usually users come in 3 types. There's one type that's going to use the dashboard. They're going to love it. They're going to use it enough that they remember how to use it. There's super users who want more than that. So what we started doing is, at the end of every dashboard, we have a data tab that has all the raw data for them to download. So those people, they can eat it up, do what they want with it. But then there's the last group. They don't need all the data. They don't even need some of it. They just need a little bit of it, but they need it often. Those are the people you have to talk to and ask yourself, how can I get this to you in as few steps as possible? So what we do is when we meet them, we don't do the pull, we do the push. For those few people, every week and every day, we give them a little bit of the data they need. They never need to go in. We don't blame them for it, but it gets them where they're going. Okay, this is a big part of it. For us, in what we do with my team, we sort of look at it and we say, for those critical items, we don't want there to be more than 3 steps before they find it. So if I'm talking to my GM, who I report to, and he needs some data, some sales data, distro data, whatever it might be, and I'm looking at the way he does it, if it takes him longer than 3 or 4 steps to get it, I redesign it. We rethink how we're doing it. Okay? Something to think about when you're looking at your own processes and the things you use. The next one is really AI-centric. It's called decriminalizing the experiment. AI in healthcare is a bit scary to use because we're using, there's product monographs and scientific papers and all of this kind of stuff. So we get a lot of questions about it, right? We get questions about, can I summarize papers? Can I use patient data? What if I upload the wrong thing to the wrong tool? All of us know that when there's fear involved, you have two things happen: fight or flight. In this case here, fight means screw it. I'm going to do whatever I want anyways. I'm going to use the tool. Somebody finds out. I don't really give a damn. The flight part of it is that I'm not going to use anything at all. So they get scared. They don't use AI. The way we approached it at the company is we built guardrails. This was discussed yesterday morning, first thing. Guardrails are super important. We did a multi-pronged approach. One of them was newsletters, consistently reminding people that it's okay to use certain tools. The other thing was a intranet site that had a lot of the things you'd expect, the tools you are allowed to use, the ones you're not. But the best thing on that site was we had personas for each type of person. So our marketers can go into the marketing persona type, and there would be quotes from other marketers across the world about how they're using it. There'd be tools lists of the best tools to use and use cases. We saw through our web data that the internal tools went up 800% after driving this, and the external tools were cut well over half. So we got exactly what we wanted from the measurements we were expecting. Okay? And it's not about mandating AI. You don't want to force people to use it. You just want to make them feel comfortable using it, remove the things that cause fear, and that's the way to kind of drive it if you need to. The next one's about innovation. So I mentioned innovation is a big part of what I do. I've got an innovation committee. Innovation's a funny thing because we make a lot of assumptions about innovation. When you do think tanks for innovation, you think, oh, I'm going to invite these 6 people because they're the innovative ones, right? And the rest of the people don't really know how to innovate. That's a big part of what we do. Or this company is just not innovative, so we need to hire an external solution. I'll give you guys a real story, 100% real. This happened maybe about a year and a half ago. There's a coordinator who helps other business units. I don't have one, but she helps me with creating POs and ordering sandwiches for my meetings. Okay, that's what she does. Super nice. I'm thanking her for something she did, and I walk away. And while I'm walking away, she goes, hey, Manish, have we thought of using OCR to pull some data off the reports, and then your team can analyze it for trends? And she could have told me that she was having my baby, because I turned around and went like, what did you say? And she looked at me and she repeated it again. I thought to myself, damn, that's a thing. Innovation comes out of everybody, everywhere, right? It's not just the big groundbreaking stuff. It's the small little things that add the 1% to your company's bottom line or to engagement or whatever it might be. So what we did is we created an entire ecosystem around innovation. We have portals that people can put suggestions into and ideas into. Suggestions or thoughts, ideas are more full-fledged asks for funding and resources. The best part about it is you think, yeah, we've done portals and nobody uses them. What we do as well is that no matter how the project goes, we put their face and their idea on the TVs at the office. We use BrightSign, we have a bunch of TVs, we throw it up and we say, look at this person, innovator of the month. It's insane because they feel happy, they want to do it again. Other people feel jealous, so they start doing it as well. So you end up with this snowball where you end up with 5 or 10 projects a month. 2 of them might go through, but that's what you want. You want numbers. A good problem to have is too many innovative ideas, right? That's a good problem to have. So this was a major game changer for us. It's something we did to kind of drive change at the organization as well. And yeah, the gap wasn't in our people, it was in the platforms we offered, and now that's changed drastically. Last one for you guys. This is one that kind of hits home really well. When we were trying to do some patient data analysis, we were looking at patient recordings. We have a system, the recording goes in, redacts all the personal information, gets rid of everything, and then you have the theme of the call essentially, right? What's the call about? What was there? When we were trying to get funding and get buy-in, the business was still burnt from social listening. There was too much data, there was too much noise with social listening, so they said, we don't want this. Forget it, if there's something cool, let us know. They thought that the only things they'd find are billing complaints, logistics, and access issues. That was it. That was not the case at all. What they found was a lot of patients in tears. You want to talk about humanizing something, getting people to want the data, want the insights, humanize the hell out of it. In this case here, we had a lot of patients from people with multiple sclerosis who took the pill that they take an hour too late, because they have to take it every day, and they were calling in freaking out saying, is it going to be as effective? They weren't sure. They were so scared about it. In another case, there were moms calling in crying because their kid's drug that they take for growth hormone was left in the car that might have been a little too hot that day. So they were calling absolutely in tears. And when you start pulling this together, again, just everything's redacted, it's sort of the theme of the call, and you start sharing it with your people saying, hey, these are some of the things that are coming up, it's a complete flip. Now you have the marketers coming to you going, what else is there? What else can we do to help our patients? Do we need a chatbot? Do we need to change our training? Do we need better nurse training? All of that stuff started to come through. And the thing is that when you have 20 people that are taking calls, one call, it's invisible, right? But when you start pulling those trends out and you go, hey, no, this is actually something we're noticing, total game changer. It's what I like to call adoption without persuasion. We didn't have to do a thing. We did one montage of calls from parents freaking out about certain things. Everything changed after that. Now it's one of the most popular things we have at the company. So, if I was to do this and go over kind of the last mile playbook, what do you do to try to make sure your projects go successfully? There's a few things we can talk about. Number one, remove, don't add, right? This is what I was saying. Unless your project measurably adds something to what you're doing, think twice about doing it. What you don't want is a lot of noise. We all have too many platforms, too many systems. If the governance is lacking, it's a problem. The second one is to map the journey. I saw a lot of people kind of nodding on this one here. Find out how long it takes you to do something, or for something you're delivering, for them to do the thing you want them to do, and ask yourself, is this the best we can do, or do we need to redesign it? The third one is go to them. Design for the Tuesday that people actually have, and not the one you assume they have, right? It's unfair to them, it's unfair to you to make assumptions. I think there's a lot of relationships that fall apart based on expectations and assumptions. This is part of the problem. That's why communication is key. We talk about it. Actually, on this one here, for those of you old enough to kind of know the Lean Six Sigma side of things, there was this term called get into the gemba, for those that know it. And what it meant was, like, as he nods, it meant sort of like getting into the floor of the factory and doing a day on the floor, because then you actually understand what it's like to be there. So for these higher up CEOs that are just like, go faster, and then they actually go and they're like, I'm exhausted, then that's sort of where that's coming from. So the idea is to get in the gemba. For us, that means take a ride along with the sales staff, see what their day actually looks like. You can judge all you want to, but until you get in the car, it's not the same thing. And the last one is very important. I'll put that there here for pictures. Measure behavior and not usage. You remember me saying that I was very disappointed that only 3 people or 3 times people had logged into that beautiful dashboard I created? That is the wrong measure. What I should have measured is, did they ever come back to us with questions? No, they didn't. Those 3 times they went into the dashboard were the 3 times they needed an answer. Okay, we solved it. We didn't need to maybe go as far as we did with this beautiful dashboard, but the thing is, you have to think really hard around what you're measuring. Is it a change of mindset? It's not just dollars every single time, right? There's multiple ways of looking at it. So the Monday morning test. Many of you put your hands down. I don't expect anybody to really do this, but here's a few ideas. Number one is if you're in a position where this matters to you, extrapolate this to your world. Find the abandoned dashboard, pick something that nobody's really using, and ask yourself why. Go talk to the group. Don't just make assumptions. Talk to the group and ask them, why are you not using this thing? Okay? Number two is count the steps. Find out the most amount of steps it takes to do something and ask yourself, can we not do better than this? It's something I've discussed. And the last one is give someone permission. This one, I've heard a couple people say, fail fast. Great term. I don't love the term because it means that you failed at something. You've only failed if you didn't learn anything from it. So it should really be learn fast and not fail fast. I mean, I don't think I've failed a lot of stuff. I've never failed and not learned from it. It could be a match or it could be something at work. I've always come out with something that I've learned. So, that's just my take on it. But in this one here, give someone permission. Give someone permission who's scared to try a new system. Give them time to do it and make it easy for them as well. My last comment is one, again, a little bit personal, is in my coaching and in my boxing, I'll bring it back to that just for a second. There's a saying I have that my two kids are sick of, and the kids I coach are sick of, which is download your opponent. I always say this before every fight. I go, download your opponent. And what that means first is understand them. The guy you're fighting, is he coming to knock your head off? Is he going to stay outside and box you? Is he pushing you against the ropes? Understand it. The next one is anticipate their next move, right? Do they like to throw jab, jab, and a right, or do they throw hooks more? Anticipate what they're going to do next, and when you feel comfortable, close the gap. Once you know what you're doing, close the gap. This is no different than this right here. What you should be doing is downloading your users. You really should understand them, see what they need and how they work, anticipate the next move, anticipate what they need next before they have to ask for it. That only happens if you understand them. And the last one is when it's time, close the distance. Show what you've got, but by that time there, because you've built that relationship and closed that distance, it's going to be closer to what they're really looking for. And that right there is not a boxing strategy, it's an adoption strategy. Thank you guys very much.
We actually have time for questions, so...
Easy ones only.
You can also ask questions about boxing, too, if you want to.
Hi, that was a great presentation. I have heard the word gap like multiple times. I mean, trust me, I can count it. It would be 10 at least. But since you're talking about the gap, I just want to ask a question related to that. What if the gap that you're talking about does not exist? And to fill that gap, people are scared that AI will replace them. And that is something that even organizations are thinking of bringing in new talent because the people who are existing, they are not resistant to change or they're not adapting too much. So what do you think about the whole situation? Do you think that is a perfect strategy to fill the gap, or it is just going to be more messier than it is right now?
I think that's a good question. I think, to be honest, nobody's sure what's going to happen in the next 5 years, right? I've got kids who are asking me what they're going to do, 12 and 10. I have no idea what jobs are going to exist at the time. Nobody can answer that. Are we going to have jobs in 10, 15 years? I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's like everything in life. The best you could do is try. So if you have people that are not willing to adapt and engage, there might be a different future for them where their role changes a little bit. But I mean, what you're trying to do is make it as easy as possible. I spoke about bite-sized things. So we have regular training sessions for AI tools. I talked about the intranet. We do team huddles. We do all kinds of stuff. We want to make sure everybody at least knows the terminology. Not everybody has the time to play with the tools, and that's going to be the unfortunate one where, depending on how busy you are, how interested you are, it's hard to get people to try new things. But it's not for a lack of trying on our part. It's going to be basically, there's some people that just won't move forward, and I don't know what the future holds, and there's people that will move forward, and they're going to have an opportunity there. But it's a really hard one to answer. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So I found it really interesting what you said around getting the data to people that they need instead of making them go somewhere to pull the data. One risk we've been managing is actually stale data, and we've been prioritizing recently, or at least in a lot of areas, creating a centralized single source of truth and making people go there to get data,
Yep.
so that they're not receiving data and then sharing it around, and at some point stale data gets shared. So when we're sending data to people directly, what kind of strategies would you recommend to mitigate that kind of risk?
Great question. Our report, there's multiple ways. First of all, our reports on the back end are obviously they're updated daily with fresh data. The data that we're sending out to them is snippets, and you're not wrong that the snippets, when you look at them from a snippet perspective, it will be old data, but they're all links to the back end dashboard. So even if they clicked on it, they're coming to the dashboard. That's the updated dashboard with all the new data in it. So it kind of solves that problem a little bit. Also, there's a bit of common sense in there too, where if we're sending you a screenshot in an email, we're hoping that you know that the email was from a month ago, and that's not relevant data. I think it's the training more than anything else. So a big part of our training is to say, we are sending you this snippet. It is a screenshot. If you click the screenshot, it'll take you to the live data, but this is data from the day we're sending it to you, and that's it. But there's, your common sense needs to be common, and part of the problem. So, yeah. Any other questions?
We have a question there.
Blinded by the lights.
My name is Mukesh. I'm from Van City. I think I'm looking at your current slide called download your users, which is excellent, and then understand and close the distance. So when you have a dashboard and you have 50 users, how can you synchronize all 50 together, what you have downloaded, and then you provide one product?
Yeah, and we have that exact issue. I think for us, it's you have to make a decision. Are you taking the opinion of the group to kind of distill it down to what the most important things are that most of the group feels they need? Or in some cases there, we kind of go with hierarchy instead. And we basically go to the BU head and the marketing manager and say, hey, what are the key things you need? And the rest of the team, we will work with them on it. What we've done before is we've created sort of it works sometimes, it doesn't sometimes, but sort of an offshoot of the main dashboard that's for a specific group. So we have field salespeople. Salespeople don't need the whole dashboard. They just need specific things around their accounts. So we have an account-specific dashboard for them that they go into. This isn't something we email out because it's got a lot of data in it. It's very confusing to email out. But in those cases there where the team is adamant about having sort of this separate structure, we've been able to build it. But again, to what you're saying there, if you have 50 people with 50 different opinions, you either say, hey, everybody, pick 3 things that work for all of you and we'll do it, or the BU head will tell us what those 3 things are. That's sort of the approach we've taken. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was amazing. So thank you so much, Manish. Let's give him a round of applause.